Hello and welcome to the MovieKing Podcast. My name is David Jurmann and I'll be your host. I hope you like Legos because today I'll be talking a lot about them. To start off today's show, I'm going to review the film piece by piece, and in the second half, I'll be ranking the Lego movies. So first off with piece by piece, this movie is a documentary animated in the style of Lego about the musician and music producer Pharrell Williams. I'm sure you've all heard of him from something. He's most well known for his song Happy, as seen in Despicable Me 2, pretty good movie. And I love the song Get Lucky he did. So he's worked with a lot of artists like Gwen Stefani, Justin Timberlake, Snoop Dogg, Daft Punk, and many, many more. And, I wasn't really sure what to make of this movie before seeing it. I saw the trailer a bunch of times, and, it's interesting because I'm not used to animated documentaries, especially with Lego. I mean, this has never been done before. If someone told you, they're making a documentary using people as minifigures and, Legos all around them, you'd say, oh, I don't know how to feel about that. But, it could have gone either way. Honestly, I'm still a bit salty about the Lego rights going to Universal from Warner Brothers, and I just desperately want another sequel to the Lego movie. But in the meantime, I'll have to settle with this documentary. But I just love the Lego movie so much, and but anyway, though, so this documentary's coming out, and personally, I'm not really sure who this movie is made for. On one hand, documentaries are usually known to be something a lot of adults watch. I mean, maybe some older kids, maybe getting into teenagers when they can really, appreciate what's going on in the documentaries and just really get to, watch the interviews and stuff. But that's kind of a more adult type of genre, I feel like. And then, on the other hand, you have it presented in this Lego format, which is very much saying, hey, this is for families. Not to say that Lego is exclusively for kids. I mean, not at all. I still love Legos and always will love Legos. But it's just one of those things where I'm not really sure who the target audience for this movie is. Why Lego specifically? And that's what I was going into this movie with. Why did you choose Lego and not some other form of animation? Not just to do it regular, live action. So that was kind of the big question going in. And having seen it, it's actually a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty informative documentary. It was creative and entertaining. It just had a lot of good elements in it that I wasn't quite, ready to expect from it. Just what it was kind of exploring and what it was talking about. And I just thought it was a pretty fun movie, I don't usually think of documentaries as fun, but I just had a really good time watching this movie, and you could tell the people involved were all really passionate about what they were talking about and making, so that definitely helped. And also, again, I just love Legos, so that to me kind of, added a little bit of maybe what was extra fun about it, just seeing all the bricks and the animation and all that stuff, so also, it has a lot of fun Lego cameos. So if you enjoy seeing, maybe some characters from other movies and stuff, you might enjoy that. And also, just a lot of artists from music in general that are related here because they all get some interviews and stuff. So that was cool. But the animation is very well done. I love how expressive it is. It uses the animation as a medium to communicate what Pharrell Williams is trying to say, using colors and shapes. And it just uses animation in a way that I think really enhances the film. It doesn't just feel like, a gimmick that was oh, we just wanted to use Lego to tell this story. No, it actually feels like something that was genuinely, thought out. I actually read after seeing the movie that Pharrell Williams really did, actually pitch this movie to the director saying, I want to do it as Lego and animate it. And that was, a pretty... I actually am a little surprised, that they really wanted to go that route. And I actually read a lot of this movie was also done remotely over COVID, which makes sense, actually. I mean, the interviews were on Zoom. The participants didn't actually know it would be Lego initially. And, again, it just makes sense because it's animated. I'm sure they wanted, a way to do this, during COVID that would be able to do it safely and have everyone give their interviews, but also make it a little more creative. So it all just kind of fit together. I don't know what circumstances really, aligned, but it just makes sense as Lego. And this documentary has some interesting stories about how Pharrell Williams got into music as a kid, how he got into the music business, and also became as well known as he is today, while also trying to stay true to what made him successful in the first place. I just really like those kind of stories. It's like about just an artist just kind of struggling to, really figure out what he's going to do, and then, again, really just trying to keep keep his identity. I thought there was a really interesting idea with like Pharrell Williams and just kind of his relationship with his grandmother and how they like went to church together. I also just thought a lot of it was very interesting with how Pharrell Williams kind of went from being just someone who loves music and listening to it and singing to being someone who then actually wanted to kind of become a producer and produce his own music too, because that was kind of the way he got in. And I thought that was really interesting. And it also just helps that this movie has good music. It obviously helps that Pharrell is a good artist and I enjoy listening to his songs. There was a lot of good music here. I really like the song choices, and he just has a really nice voice. I think a lot of his songs are catchy, they have a good beat, and you can just see why he's so popular. Like, you can really see, like, why so many people like to work with him, and he seems like a nice guy, too. Not just saying that, but, like, genuinely, like, he does seem like someone who really does work hard and wants to be a great artist. And because of that, this movie avoids typical tropes seen in other music biopics. Pharrell is not your typical artist. He just goes about things in a different way. He doesn't really go down the path many other people did. And I say that as a good thing. I mean, it's kind of refreshing to see someone who just made their own path and did things their way. And it's not like a story you've really seen before, which I think helps in making this feel a little more fresh. But with that being said, my biggest issue with the movie is I think the story and approach was nothing too deep or special. Not that it needs to be like this thought-provoking, heavy, think piece, but I just want, like, in general, a documentary to feel a bit more, introspective than maybe just like a typical music biopic would. Like, I think this movie's a bit more in-depth than, like, reading a Wikipedia article or something, but I was hoping just for something a bit more, like, that just dug deeper into his life and really, like, went to places I wasn't expecting. Nothing here was too surprising, really, or really, like, groundbreaking, but it's just an interesting story, and that's enough. But it's just not enough to really make me, like, wowed by it. Like the Christopher Reeve documentary I saw lately. I didn't really know the story about either of these people, but the Christopher Reeve story, while it's definitely more devastating and tragic, also has just a bit more, I think, like, moments where you really get into the people's heads and kind of understand what they're thinking. In this movie, it's just more general statements about who Pharrell is as an artist and a person, but you're not really, like, diving deep into psychologically, like, who he is. And I guess it's just a type of movie. This is more for families, but that's just something I noticed. And I don't know, in general, this movie feels like it's using the Lego animation medium to kind of enhance what would otherwise be a pretty average Talking Heads documentary. Talking Heads documentary, if you don't know what that is, it's just kind of like you're just watching the people talk and, do the interviews. You're just kind of watching literally Talking Head. This movie does have a lot of sequences it cuts to where, I don't really know if they were just kind of like dialogue that was written for the movie or just quoted from, like, explain what this was like, but the movie does a good job of kind of telling a story as well as giving a Talking Heads interview, but, in general, like, that was really what elevated it. Like, just seeing the stories kind of play out in animation really added a lot to what this documentary could have been, because otherwise I don't think it has quite as much to say. My other note is that the pacing could have been a little better, especially in the middle. It's only like 90 minutes. It feels a little more like hour 45 or 2 hours. Definitely feels longer than it was. But overall, I like this movie. It's a fun, light documentary. It's good for families. And again, when I first went into this movie, I wasn't really sure who it was for. But now I can say I think it's for everyone, really. I mean, I don't think young kids, I don't know how much they'll really take away from it, just kind of given how much talking there is and, like, what they're talking about. I don't know if they'll, like, fully understand what they're going on about, but I think just for anyone else, teenagers and adults, I think it's a cool approach to tell a story like this. And if anything, the direction it goes in with the Lego does more to show what makes Pharrell Williams stand apart from other people in his field and what makes him such a unique artist. So that was cool, and I like the movie. I'd recommend it. I'd give it a B. It's not a must see, maybe not even something you need to see in theaters, but if it's on TV, if it's on like Peacock or something, and you're just looking for something to watch and you like Pharrell Williams, give it a watch. I think you'll like it. And another thing I want to note also is I thought it was pretty cool that before the movie started, they actually showed the trailer for Wicked, which is also by Universal. Both movies are by Universal. And they showed the full trailer for Wicked in Lego. I guess someone made it on the side. I don't know. That was just pretty unexpected and cool. If you do see this movie in theaters, go check it out early. Get there for previews. Go watch the Wicked trailer in Lego. It's pretty neat. I liked it. And now, let's do a ranking of the theatrical released Lego movies. And that's exclusively the run that started with the Lego movie. Not talking about any of the other ones like the Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter, whatever, all the ones that were released on like Cartoon Network. Not talking about those. I'm just talking about the run that started with the Lego movie in 2014. And starting with the ranking, I'll be going worst to best, with the worst in number 5 being the Lego Ninjago movie. And I'm actually going to say I kind of enjoy all these movies. Lego Ninjago was not a very well-praised movie, not very well-received by critics or audiences. But honestly, I think there's enough to enjoy in this movie. Really just having to do with the action. I mean, I just think Lego Ninjas is a cool idea. I like the Lego Ninjago show as a kid. I never really got the sets, but they looked cool. And, it's just a fun movie about a father-son relationship, just kind of like, the son just trying to make amends with his father, the dad being, this crazy, evil guy, and, who's terrorizing the city. And it's a pretty fun movie. I mean, it's very similar to what we've seen before. It's nothing new, and maybe that's what people didn't love about it. It feels like a little stale, I guess, compared to what we got in, like, the Lego movie. But I think there's just enough jokes that land. It's really the jokes that save this movie for me. I think there's some fun action sequences. There's some fun action sequences in here, and just the story is enjoyable enough. There's some fun stuff with a cat here that's pretty funny. I don't know. It's just it's safe, but it's fun, and there's not much else to say on it. But I think it's worthy enough of a watch. And I don't really mind it, so it's number 5, but it's not bad. Next up is Piece by Piece, which I just talked about, and really this is just a very different type of Lego movie, not even really it doesn't even really totally belong in this list because of just how different it is, and it's not even really like a fictional piece, but just for what it does, I think it does a good job. Even if there's nothing in Piece by Piece that's, like, not a game changer in any way, it's still just a good story. It has a lot of heart, and I think there's just a lot of really fun scenes here with creating the music, getting into the music industry, a lot of stuff that I just enjoyed watching. So, I think it's a fun movie. I recommend it. At number 3 is the Lego Movie 2, a very underrated film, I might add. Not quite as, like, hated on or anything as Lego Ninjago. I still don't really understand the hate for Lego Ninjago, but Lego Movie 2 was definitely not as well received as the first one, but I think it's pretty underrated. Like, I have a good time watching it. I've seen it many times now, and, like, it's not maybe as original or fresh as the first one. It goes in a bit of a different direction. I appreciate the risks it does take, though, because whereas the first one is a very it's a very specific type of movie. The second one kind of changes things up entirely, goes in a more, musical direction in space, and it's not probably what people wanted out of it. Maybe it's like a Joker 2 thing where people just don't want to go to musicals. I don't know. But I just think it's a fun story. I think it actually does a good job of taking what the first movie did and expanding on it, especially with the relationship of the brother and sister and just kind of how they have to get along together. I really just like what this movie also has to say about family and getting along with each other and really just how relationships work with siblings. I thought that was really well done. And also, there's some fun twists here, especially with the Chris Pratt characters. Um, just a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of fun. There's some good jokes. Phil Lord and Chris Miller wrote it. They didn't direct it. You could just feel their involvement with the movie, and I think they're what kind of keeps this movie from really being a disappointment. I mean, I knew this movie was never going to live up to what the first one is, and I'll get to why later, but for what it is, I think it's honestly about as good as a sequel could have been without just feeling like a rehash of what the first movie did. And I give him credit for, trying something different. Even if it didn't work for everyone, even if it wasn't for you, I think it's a good choice to do something different with this story, and that's what I like about it. And up in second place is the Lego Batman movie. What's not to like about the Lego Batman movie? Honestly, just as a Batman fan, as a Lego fan, as a Lego movie fan, this movie just has everything you want. It has good action, good characters, good humor, good musical score, good songs. Just it's a good Batman movie. Even it does a nice story about Bruce Wayne. He's like just about him being kind of lonely and meeting Robin, meeting Batgirl, and really just like finding a family in all of them. And with Alfred, and I think just the Lego approach to it really makes the whole thing feel different and unique with like crazy cameos. Like King Kong is in here, Voldemort's here. Like, you just don't get that in a normal Batman movie. And I think that adds a lot to it. And the humor is also very good and adds a lot to it also. Like, who pays their taxes? Not Batman. It's so funny. I really like a lot of what this movie does. I think also the Joker and Batman relationship is really funny here, and how Joker kind of perceives the two of them together, and how eventually he just goes off and like, I don't need you anymore, Batman. It's just fun commentary. I don't, it's just the movie does everything that you want it to do. It makes you smile. It makes you happy. It makes you really just enjoy spending time with these characters. It's very self-aware. Batman's talking about making studio executives nervous. It's so silly. It's so fun, but I love it. It's a great movie. But in number one is a movie that not only do I love, but it's probably in like my top three favorite movies ever. And that is the Lego movie, the original Lego movie. And it's because it does something so surprising, and if you haven't seen the movie, I won't say what it is because I think you should really have it be a surprise. But I just love how this movie works on several levels. Like, it starts off as one thing, you're just kind of watching it with Legos and just kind of this adventure they're going on with, against this evil president business, and just kind of the way the movie evolves throughout. It takes on a whole new meaning. Every time you rewatch it, you just view it differently. And in addition to that, it's also just so funny, so fresh, so original. It's so self-aware and like entertaining. I've literally heard the jokes in this movie like a million times. It is probably my most rewatched movie ever. Honestly, I've seen it so many times. I remember once I was on like a flight somewhere. I think I watched it twice in the same flight. It's just so funny. And it never gets old. Like, the jokes here never get old to me. I laugh every single time I watch it. It also just has so much heart and so much, everything I look for in a movie is here. I don't know, there's just so much here. Like, there's a joke every minute, literally. Like, jokes even you don't notice the first time you watch it again. You hear jokes you didn't even notice the first time. And I just love the character set in here. Like, it's just like this group that shouldn't go together at all. It just does, because Lego, you can put any random minifigures you want together, play with them any way you want. It just works, and it's so creative and fun. I love this movie so much. I could go on and on and on about what I love about it. I don't know. It's just, to me, this is the ultimate Lego movie. I love these characters and I want to see them again. That's why I'm so mad we're not going to get a Lego movie 3. At least in the meantime, I pray that we'll get one made just to close out this trilogy. But there's just something really special about this film. I knew it from the moment I saw it, and I could literally watch it every day and it would never get old. So I love this movie. Please go watch it. It's so good. But that about does it for this episode. If you want to follow my reviews, you can find me on Letterboxd at MovieKing1224. You can also listen to this podcast on your favorite apps such as Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. If you have any comments or feedback, I would love to hear it and improve this show. And of course, if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to hear more like it. I appreciate you all so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.